Councillors, please. Welcome to everybody for today's ordinary council meeting, Thursday, 26th of June. And we have had the council prayer this morning with regard to finance. It's item order of business 1. We have no apologies, no public forum, and for any conflicts of interest, please declare them, or you can declare them later. In terms of the confirmation of order of business, we'll move item 10.3 ahead of 10.1. That makes sense in case there are any subtle changes that we'd need to do in terms of the annual plan. Looking for the confirmation of minutes for the 29th of May, 5th of June meeting, starting page 5. So looking at alterations and corrections, page 5, 6 and 7, 8 and 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. If not, would somebody be happy to so move, please? Thank you. We'll go Councillor Lambert and Councillor Duncan seconding. All those in favour? No. Those against? Carry it. Thank you very much.
Could I just confirm, Your Worship, that was, we've got 3 sets of minutes on the agenda today, that was moving them all as a block?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. Without amendment.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving straight then to item number 7, the follow-up actions from the previous meetings. And Karina, are you taking us through this?
Look, we're happy to take the comments as read. Most of the items on there are Mr. Bernardi, so happy to work through any questions on them.
Hello.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I think we can just quickly step through them. Most of them will be discussed in a bit more detail in other parts of the meeting. Some of them are kind of on there to see if we've got enough funds to get them done. So I'm thinking of the one in Bulls, the traffic calming. So we really wanted to see at the end of the year if there's any money left in the roading budgets to complete those. But really, any questions you've got, we would be happy to answer.
Supplementary to that explanation, in terms of the roading stuff that's being done at Te Matawihi, that's all completed and where's that?
Yes.
Because I saw them down there working on that.
The reason for the smile is I quickly popped in there today to see how far they are. This is the bus lane that Your Worship is talking about. So the plinth has been installed. It's got 2 bollards on either side to protect the arm and the mechanism. I see they've got 2 cones over where the mechanism will go, so I suspect that's still on its way. Also, the team working on it, they are considering going away from the remote option and looking at number plate recognition so that bus companies can give us all their bus number plates. We can put that on the list. We think the remotes are a good idea, but they're always going to bring up some issues. So we're going to try that and see how we get on. That's the plan. So I popped in there this morning. It looks neat and tidy, and I think we're just waiting for those arms to arrive.
Any extra cost for the number plate recognition, or is it?
Not that I've seen. So far the cost is exactly the same.
I did see 2 buses in there this morning, but one was right at the front and one was right behind it. So it'll be interesting when the barriers go into see where they actually park.
I agree, Councillor, through you, Mr. Chairs. I think they would have to change their behaviour a little bit and maybe really stick to the marked off areas where they park. What is interesting in the whole process, we actually made contact with somebody that's on the organisation that represents all of the bus companies. And this person has been really valuable to us. I think it's a super, super valuable context for us going forwards. So if they do have those kind of problems, we can funnel all of that through this person and get some feedback from them.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. Good, Arno. Very pleasing to see this matter finally being addressed. But I just would like to pick up on what Councillor Maughan said. He did ask as to what it was still within its budget. I'd like to just seek that you said you think it's within budget, but I would just like to know that it is in budget, just saying.
Yeah, I can definitely follow up on that. Everything I've approved so far is still within budget. I've not seen anything that's above that, but I can definitely follow up on it.
Councillor Duncan.
Thank you. Through you, just a question about the neighbouring landowners and the access way, and I'm just assuming that's all been worked out and the new positioning is accommodating their need to have access as well.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting, the access that they have onto the bus lane is an exit only. So the idea is vehicles can exit the motel site and go to Dalziel and onto State Highway, but they can't come back to Criterion from there. So they have an in-out access on Criterion that their customers would use. So where we've put our arms are actually between that access and Criterion. So it works for everyone.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, further, would somebody like to receive the reports? Thank you. Councillor Carter and Councillor Loudon, was that putting on buses or was that a second?
I can second that.
Thank you. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Sorry, I saw your head start to go up.
Yes, yes.
Moving to item number 8, the Mayor's report, and I'd like to make a correction to the Mayor's report with regard to the youth awards. The winner of the Youth and Work Development Award is Jack Inwood, not as written Jake. So my apologies for that. And I will certainly take it as read. I will take any questions relating to it. And we'll deal with recommendations, especially recommendations about remits and so on. So first of all, I'll take any question. Please, yeah, Councillor.
Not really a question. I just really appreciate that this was listed. All the awards again. I was there on the night and it was quite overwhelming how that, the high, as you say, the high calibre of young people there. And I just think, we're very proud of Jack. It's one of ours. But then sort of also feel that Denise, a number of them we've had dealings with through the youth council as well, and they're just wonderful people. So thank you for that.
No problem at all. Anybody else? I just want to point out again that where I list things from rural and provincial council or something that I've listened to, I try and delineate very carefully between what I'm receiving and what my impression is. So, where I've listed my impressions, or I say I think, or whatever, that doesn't mean to say that that is actually what will happen. It's what my impression will be. Right. I've moved that my Mayor's report be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Carter, seconded. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. And now we deal with remits. So we need to deal with each one of these separately, and we'll take questions as we go. Just remember that when it comes to local government conference where these are decided, there is sometimes a very significant debate. There is always the potential for your vote to be changed. I don't think I can ever recall that actually happening, but that's what debate is about. And probably if I got to that stage, I would probably abstain rather than vote against contrary opinion. So if we move to the first one, the security system, is outlined on page 41. Any questions around this?
Given that apparently it's in the newspaper as having gone through, how do we treat this?
Yeah, I'd need clarification. So for those online, I read in the Dominion this morning that the Remuneration Authority has already made a decision. And that decision is to put the I think it's the sum of $4,500 that councillors could use, and it's termed, I think, in the article about could use, and an extra $1,000 in terms of the running costs, etc. If the remuneration authority has already made that decision, then this would mean that this there's no point. But I think it would be advisable for council to have an opinion on this at this stage regardless. Any advice from staff?
Yes, I can confirm that the determination that's come through this week does include the security system payments as part of this year's determination. So correct that is identified as $4,500 for installation and $1,000 for monitoring on the basis of a risk assessment being done.
And this would be funded by the ratepayer effectively.
Wow.
So I'm prepared to take comment as well, because even though that is the position, you may want to say whether you support it or not. Councillor Lambert, you first.
Comment and question. I support it. I think just because our council, I'm assuming all councils here haven't been subjected to abuse and threats, it would be good to have that tool in our toolbox if it was to happen. My second question, if it has gone through, when would the payments start?
If I know, it'd be after July,
After July.
of the new financial year. Councillor Dalgety.
I think this is an extra cost that the ratepayer may struggle to bear, and I feel if it's required, it should be given on a case-by-case basis. You apply, you put state your situation, and yes, if someone is feeling unsafe, I believe there should be a mechanism for looking after them, but this being available to everyone is very expensive.
Councillor Hero.
Oh, yeah, I'd be absolutely in the same space. If people need it, yeah, then, but it would have to be a case by case in my head. Because that potentially that's $5,500. 60. Yeah.
It's more than 60-odd thousand, because it also is available for community board members. So it is worthwhile, because at the LGNZ conference, even though the remit may not be needed, there's probably likely to be a view, and for instance, the remit may be turned on its head to say this shouldn't happen. So I think the conversation is valid, even in terms of the decision already made. I've got Councillor Duncan, Councillor Okawa, Councillor Moore, and Councillor Duncan.
Thank you. My question is, I'm assuming that you don't have to apply for this money. You're not going to automatically get it, but if you decide that you want to put the security system in, you can apply for it. Is that the sort of thing, or is everybody just going to be given $5,000 or $4,000 with $1,000 in the next 2 years coming in for maintenance?
Yeah.
I'll just, so reading what the Remuneration Authority has put out, it says based on a security threat and risk assessment authorised by the local authority.
Excellent, so I should have read it better, thank you.
The other
I'm
thing
against it.
to note is that is proposed to come in after the election, not as at 1st of July.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Okawa.
I'm in support of Councillor Dalgety that on a case-by-case basis, our ratepayers, the amount of money that we're looking at, actually, security, could liability, insurance, could it be used to, if you wanted, I don't know, is there a criteria on what you use that money for? Like, could I use it for, I don't know, insurance, to insure myself in case I got
very specific.
Popped off.
Topped off or something, yeah, just, okay, gotcha, thanks.
Councillor Moore.
When you say the ratepayer pays, does the district council, does it come out of our funds?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's worded appropriately enough to say on a case by case basis.
Okay.
I'd hate to think that everybody's going to get it willy-nilly if not required.
Councillor Loudon.
I'm generally in favour of this. I think it's a good initiative, and it has its checks and balances in place. Unfortunately, it's, potentially the ratepayer that may be the security threat. So it's on the ratepayer to that's their behaviour.
All right, I think I probably. Would you prefer that we have a formal position that if this comes up at local government conference? Right, so could I have hands up in favour, please, for those in support of? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very, thank you.
Could I just confirm your worship?
Strictly case by case.
Yeah, we'll do it as a formal recognition. So, councillor Lambert, you moved? Yep. Could I have a seconder to that? Councillor Wilson seconding. Those in favour, recovered. Thank you, carried.
Question there, if I may.
Questions?
Does the system get removed once you've resigned from the position?
Good question.
Yes. Yeah, if you resigned from council, do you mean? Would the hardware be removed? Yep. Don't know. Don't know. Yeah.
And you wouldn't get your $1,000 top up though.
All right, moving to number 2, improving the joint management agreements. It would be useful if somebody was wanting to move to support, seconded to that. Thank you, councillor Hiroy. Any questions? Otherwise, I'll ask if councillor Wilson wishes to speak to it.
Just to say, possibly not direct effect to us here, as we have other mechanisms in place, but I support the Whānau Council in this remit.
Put it to any speakers, or I'll put it to vote. Councillor Duncan.
Yes, I thought this was really interesting because the background and context included the fact that iwi say that one of the reasons they have not, iwi and Hapu, I should say, have not engaged with us is because of financial constraints. And I'm thinking with a council like ours, in fact, we've got financial constraints as well. So I'm just wondering how it would work and what the cost would be. And, I think we're a very small council and I don't know how this.
All right, councillor Hiroy.
What I would say with that is it's the priority that people put on things. That's what I would say. What priority do councils put on this type of thing? Because there's no doubt, I think there's things that we do that we don't do that other councils have a priority to do. Without even knowing anything about Northland's law.
By law, we already have one. Look at the Whangahu catchment. That is a version of this, where we're named as a council in that sort of relationship. That's to my mind. Okay, I'll move it to a vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Number 3, the alcohol licensing fees. Somebody like to move? Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, I'd move.
Move and support?
And support.
Yeah.
Looking for a seconder to that. Thank you, councillor Hiroy, seconding. Do you wish to speak to it?
No, I just think it makes sense that we
Any
need to
questions?
keep up with those
Put it to-
realistic fees.
Put it to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? All right, thank you. Number 4, aligning public and school bus services.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wish them luck with this. but Are you wishing to move?
I'll speak to it.
Yes, certainly. Have you speaking rights if you,
The government,
can I have a seconder if you're moving it? Could I have a seconder?
I want to move against it.
Okay, well, you can move against
I'll
it.
move against it.
But before you speak to it, I want to
Okay.
see if you've got a
Sure.
seconder.
I'll
Yep.
second it.
Oh, yeah. Not against it.
Councillor Duncan seconding, councillor Wong.
This is already happening. The government is already pushing school bus services onto councils if they onto providers if they already have a bus run in their area. Horizons has just turned down a couple of approaches from the government because there's no additional funds for it. They don't have the buses for it. They said they won't engage in this until they have more communication. I agree with the idea in principle, but until there is more communication and funding for it, it's government just trying to offload their responsibilities onto territorial authorities again to get it off their book. So for NZTA to turn around and say we're going to support it, it's just absolutely nonsense. That doesn't make sense from a financial point of view. So no, I don't think we should accept. They should support it.
Councillor, okay.
I'm going to speak in favour of this, even though the money's not sorted.
Hang on, are you speaking in favour of the motion?
I beg your pardon, I'm going to speak against your motion.
Please speaking against.
I think our school bus service has been under stress and has certainly caused a lot of angst in rural areas for a long time. And I think that if we're looking for an existing system, that it is worthwhile.
Further speakers?
Yeah, I'll speak in favour of what councillor Delgatti said, because when we
need to be very careful around how we phrase these things. So you're speaking against the motion.
I'm just motion.
no, sorry, I'm speaking for the motion.
You're speaking for the motion, so you're supporting councillor Wong's position.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead.
Just because when we had the school bus service many years ago, these inflexible rules were still there, and they obviously haven't changed. So it needs reform.
So I'm just wondering if your argument is actually aligned to your vote here.
Advocating the reform.
Okay. Any other speakers? I'll speak against the motion. And the reason that I'm saying this is about advocating for alignment in my mind. And it is a messy situation as is, that any alignment, to my mind, should be a good thing. If they can achieve it or not is a different matter. But this is advocating for some sort of sensible relationship. Any further speakers? Go to right of reply.
I take totally on board the objections from Councillor Delgatti and his worship, and I would, in a perfect world, think that the alignment should go ahead. But with the way this has been happening, it is purely a cost-saving measure that the government is on, and to support this remit would soften the approach that the councils have against this influx. So that's why I don't support this submission. But thank you.
Right, we've had right of reply. There must be a vote now. Hands up who are in favour of the motion, which is one of opposition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The motion is carried. We oppose. Next one. The review of local government arrangements to achieve better balance from Tauranga City Council. Does anybody have a position there? Somebody like to move some? I'll give you a minute to rethink it and relook at it if you like. Right, who's first? Councillor Hero, was it?
I'm happy to move that,
In support?
in support of this.
Looking for a second to that, Councillor Wilson seconding. Do you wish to speak up?
Well, as much as I'm in support of it, whether or not anything actually comes of it, who knows? But I'm in support that we try and put this up. And that we try and get something going with the government to bring balance, because as far as I'm concerned, there's no balance.
Okay.
So that's what I would say.
Councillor Wilson.
Speaking of support, as the seconder clearly, it's a wishy-washy remit, which is unlikely to achieve anything apart from raise an issue above the parapet. It is being supported by the Metro sector proposed by the Tauranga District Council. The least we can do is support them in their endeavours to get greater engagement with government. So I think we should support that basis.
Councillor Duncan.
Yes, I'm speaking in support, but I think, once again, this is what LGNC's for. There's no other reason why it's there. And so if they're not doing that, and we have to put a remit in, it doesn't look very good. But I'd support it nonetheless, just to give them a poke.
I agree. Right to reply. Put it to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. Okay. And the next one is the rates capping AGM paper. And this is asking for support for their position going forward in terms of rates capping. Do we have somebody that wishes to move? Councillor Wilson.
I'm happy to move in support of.
Looking for a second to that. Thank you, Councillor Dalgety. Any questions around this? Let you speak, sir.
Yeah, unlike the previous remit that which we moved, and I certainly take on board Councillor Duncan's comments, and I take them on board well. This is a particular one that, if you read the report in the order papers here, has had some work and effort put into, and I think they raise valid points and arguments, and they reference rates capping in other sectors of the world, i.e. Australia. And I think there is a great deal of merit in the argument that they're proposing, if that's what we could say. So I think from a sector, this needs to be strongly supported. So I'm very supportive of this action going further.
Any other speakers? Councillor Duncan.
I'd like to speak against it. There are certain things that jump out at me, including that all rates capping policies effectively transfer local fiscal decisions, I'm quoting, from local communities to central government. And I'm very concerned with local voice. I think that we have loss of local voice. That's backed up by the fact that it's soon to be reinstated, Section 11A. Well, it's not reinstated. And point 6, bullet point 6 on page 51 very clearly says that one of the negative things is diminished local voice once again in council investment and revenue decisions. So none of that's good. So I'm speaking against it. Thank you.
Question, please. We still time.
The paper is advocating to stop the rates capping, is that correct?
Correct.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
You and me, babe.
Sorry, what was all you were going?
Sorry, beg your pardon, I'm in favour of it. Sorry,
Thank you.
I was going to clarify exactly.
Well done, Councillor.
thank you.
Any other speakers? We've got two in favour.
I'm in favour.
Any speak, do you wish to speak to it? Any speakers against?
I'm going to stick my neck here and speak against it. I do think there is a valid reason for some rates capping. Yeah, other than the fact it might just make councils get a bit more business-like, I guess, in their decisions. So I'm speaking against it because of that.
Any other speakers?
Yeah, I'll speak in favour of it because I think any form.
Sorry, we've had three speakers in favour.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Any other speakers against? Back to right of reply.
Before I defer to councillor Duncan to give my right of reply. Sorry, I had to get that one in.
Oh, good.
Look, I think there is, rates capping is a throwaway line that gets used in the media. It's a bit like the get back to basics. Well, please explain to me what is basics. What is rates capping? Rates capping is just this really, really nice line. All this document here is saying that we need to advocate directly with the government to better understand the implications and what this actually looks like. If you said rates capping as a general conversation to everybody out on the street, they'd all go, what a wonderful idea, without really understanding. And this document goes into some of the details of what the risks, pros and cons are. And without having this level of engagement direct with LGNZ, direct to the government to get this passed through the upcoming LGM meetings, we're fools to ourselves. So we've certainly got to have the conversation. So speaking in favour, clearly.
Thank you. Put it to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. One against. Thank you. I'd like to also put on the table a thought recommendation, and I'd move that council supports the nomination of Denise Gill to attend the 19th annual Aspiring Leaders Forum on the 21st to 24th of August, up to the value of $19.90, to be funded from mayoral expenses for the 25-26 financial year. Looking for a seconder for our speaker. Councillor Duncan on youth, appropriately second. Thank you very much. I would like to try and find some sponsorship for this. We don't send people easily to these sorts of events. And if I have to look at the last few years, Denise, if she is able to go, and that's a rider within this, doesn't say she has to go, but if she is able to and wants to, and the early indications are that she is interested. I have not seen a young person of her talent and leadership potential in front of this council for a very, very long time. I think she is an exceptional young woman and very, very strong in terms of where she wants to go and in terms of leadership. So, any other questions or speakers? Councillor Wong.
On the youth committee, Denise was the chair last year, and she has very generously stood aside to let someone else chair this year. And she is a very, very generous and mature young lady. And I echo all the stewardship's comments. So I support this totally.
I also think that she's a great ambassador for Rangitikei College. A person like her would go very well at something like this.
Yeah, she's currently head girl.
Yeah, very cool.
Awesome. I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you very much.
Can I just ask, is that worth noting that it's unanimous?
Yes, it is. There wasn't, sorry, Councillor Carter.
in addition to your recommendation 2 regarding security systems, can I add in there that it's only valid to operational members or members of in office at the time?
That's covered in
it's
the
a given.
remuneration authorities report.
It was covered in there, was it? No, thank you.
Just as an addition to my mayor's report, just a bit of interest, and we have moved and received it, but there has been a lot of comment in the last week around the roles of regional councils. How that will play out, nobody's quite sure, but there's making you aware that there are all sorts of questions being asked at the governmental level, it's around those sort of things. Thank you very much. I'll move to item 9, the chief executive report.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I'll step through sections of this report. It's not very long this month. So just the events held across the district are shown there, and also staff movements. You'll see we actually didn't have any staff leave or in May. So I'll play that. And then I just wrote a section there on our Matariki Stars Awards, and thank you to those councillors and the mayor who did attend. It is really special to be able to acknowledge the really good work that our staff have done. And I haven't put names in this report, but in my regular update to you, I'll list those names. I feel it's important that you know who they are. If there are any questions on that?
Councillor.
I'll just comment, just like to commend the CE and the ELT the way they conducted the event. I thought it was really genuine in how you gave out those awards, and great night to be part of.
Was my request for karaoke for next year's Matariki serious?
No.
Any further reasonable requests? No further questions?
I was just wondering whether we need.
Sorry,
Just in regards to the report, it's the same. Oh, no, it's not, it's as the current consultation, that's your report. Okay.
Yes, I'll get to that bit in a minute.
I'll comment then.
Councillor Loudon.
I was just about to say, I was wondering whether we needed to vote on Councillor Wong's suggestion.
We might not be here, any of us, this next year.
I'll take that under advisement. The health, safety and wellbeing dashboard for May is attached. Again, it's very dramatic, which is good. I'll just make a comment about the pink ribbon breakfast that we held. It was a morning tea. It was fantastic, and the staff really embraced that as well. And there was a good fundraiser, so that was excellent. The consultation tracker, councillor.
Sorry.
Yes,
I'd just like to comment on thank the team, thank staff. In terms of the regulatory standards bill, our submission from council I thought it was brilliant. I read it and I thought well articulated. Great team, great work team. It was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, just commenting on those submissions. So while it doesn't look a lot, that RMA reform is a significant piece of work. So Tiffany is leading the charge on that one, but yeah, it is very challenging, that's for sure.
Yep.
And then lastly, just made a comment there that Jared has been working with us on looking at the Martin office and has been our liaison with Horizons. And so we're making a comment there. We wanted to make sure it was documented that in the recent discussions that we've had with Horizons, the King Street site is a more appropriate site for them to base their staff at. And so I just thank Jared for bringing that here, because it's really good to have it in writing. Yeah. And we're also intending on having a council workshop in August to go over some more logistics around the Martins site here and also the relationship with the King Street site. So we'll be bringing you some thinking on that, which hopefully will potentially reduce the size of what's required here.
Would somebody like to move the report be received? Councillor Lambert, Councillor Stalin, those in favour? Against, carried. Thank you. We'll now move through to 10.3. Thank you very much. 10.3 is the Martin Swim. This is the change of order of business. So confirmation of scope. I'll pass over to Arno. Just before we do that, would somebody like to receive the report, please? Councillor Herald moving, Councillor Rakawa seconding, those in favour?
Aye.
No. Those against? Carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yep. So the reason for the report really is to update you on where we got to for the scope and for us to be able to get the work going on that scope so that can start. So it's just a bit of a recap as to how we got here. Also, there was a bit of confusion between option 1B and option 2. Things it's easy to get confused amongst all of them. So we thought it would be a good time to just recap again. So the first part of the report is just feedback as to how we got to where we are. You'll remember that Create gave us 4 different options, 1A or 1B, option 2 and 3. And when that was presented to council, we had a resolution that we would go for option 1B, the base recommendations, and that we would do that in a phased fashion. And the first phase of that work would be to replace the roof and to do the strengthening. That would be the first. And you would remember that there was a large list of things that needs to be renewed or repaired, and it had general cost. So we could pick out of that what we would do first. The engineers then came back and said, well, the replacement of the roof, you really could do that in 3 different ways. I brought that back to a discussion with council to see if there's appetite to consider any of the other options, which there was no appetite to consider the other options and to stick to what we have in the resolution. In other words, that's option 1B, replace the roof like for like and strengthen with the addition of the ETFE liner. So we get a bit more sunlight in. So we went back to the engineers and they put together the scope for us. And that is what I'm presenting to council today. And we're giving you 2 options: either approve the scope, and we've described advantages and disadvantages of doing that, or do not approve the scope and ask us to either add or remove something, and advantages and disadvantages. And then Katrina spent quite a bit of time to recap what is required in the Local Government Act as far as decision-making is concerned and how we got to where we are and what might be required around all those.
Thank you. I'll take any questions first. Question?
Just a comment Mr. Bernardi made about there was no appetite to investigate other options. I disagree with that. There's 2 or 3 of us were keen to investigate option 4, I think it was, the plastic type roof. So it's just more clarification of the comment that there was an appetite by some of us to investigate other options.
And the plastic roof has been, it's got a special name, but included in scope.
Yeah. He's talking about a new facility completely, is it?
Yeah.
Just double skin roof.
Yeah.
Are you talking about?
Yeah, so there was an appetite by some of us to look at other options. That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Shara.
With your permission, Your Worship, I'd like to put a motion on the table.
You don't need my permission, you can put a motion on the table at any time.
The motion is that the council delay any further decisions about the Martin Pool upgrade pending more extensive investigations and community consultation.
Looking for a seconder to that. Councillor Elton, prepared to second. Wish to speak to that?
Yep. I've read the pool assessment quite extensively and I'm actually struggling to find anything right with the pool. There's actually a hell of a lot wrong with it. The pool's 50 years old and it's well past its use by date. The geotech report provided by Mr. Bernardi suggests that there is a possibility with the Tootanui stream going past the pool that perhaps, and it's a possibility that that actually could fall into the stream. So that
Can I
could,
just check, look, Benali, are you, as a staff member, are you saying that that is possible?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, definitely not. You would note in that report that I've shared, we went to structural engineers. There were a couple of things, specific things we wanted them to check. The one was that the gap in the drainage concrete is larger in that corner than anywhere else. They had experts come have a look. They said it looks stable at the moment, but it's something to keep an eye on. We are planning on doing much more detailed geotech on the site for this design of the strengthening. When I spoke to the engineers to say, can we have a specific look at the stream and let's tick that off? They came back and said, actually, what we need is a stream erosion report. And what that means, we had one done for the Rangitikei at Putarino, is they look at how the stream moves over time. They look at the geotech around the stream, and then they can give you a feel for how far would the stream go, either left or right, and they can give you a view on that. So we are planning on including that for geotech that's going to be done soon. So I hope that helps.
I mean, I can carry on a little bit. The funder it's a very generous funding, but I believe they're putting undue pressure on the council just to get the pool open.
Sorry, I must stop you there. You are starting to talk about a funder. If we go down this path, I think we would have to move into public excluded.
Okay.
Could I have some advice from staff? Would that be the way that you would see this?
I would if you're going to get into too much more detail around the external funding that's been proposed.
Can I be very careful where you go with us? I'm prepared to let it sit at the moment.
Okay.
But I will absolutely state that the funder has made no direction in terms of conditions other than to say that they're prepared to fund this.
Yeah.
And if you go further down, I will censor you.
That's fine, yep. The other point is, I wonder if the community of not just Martin, but of the Rangitikei know of the deterioration of the pool, and would they be interested in us actually fixing it up or getting a new facility? The other thing is, some months ago, we voted here that we would take a holistic view of the restoration of the pool. I don't believe this is holistic. I think this is a tunnel vision view, and that the council has inherited a problem, and it's our job as representatives of the community to fix the problem, not just patch it up and hand it over to the next council, because I believe that's what we're doing.
Further speakers? Councillor Hero or Councillor Loud and Councillor Hill.
Well, I've got a question.
I'll take the question, certainly.
Given with what Councillor Charlotte has just expressed, and you've said that that if we go down any deeper path around the details, in my head, that constitutes immediately for us to go into in committee. In my mind, that needs to happen.
Maybe consider that for a minute. Can you repeat that carefully as to why you think it has to be in public exclude?
Well, you, with what Councillor Charlotte has brought up, and the space, the different points he's brought up, you've said that you would recommend that we go into in committee, and because of how big this kaupapa is, I think it should go into committee to be discussed and then come out, because otherwise we're only going to be picking through what we can talk about. And I think
certainly if somebody wishes to bring out the involvement of the funder in any shape or form, that must be in committee. And if that's the view that somebody wishes to discuss the funder, Can I have an opinion there, whether you want to, councillor Sharland, discuss the funder or anybody else?
Yes, I would like to support that. I have some questions.
Okay, well then, I'll ask somebody to move that we move into committee. Looking for a seconder to that.
I'm happy to, my second.
Can you, the mover, give me the reasons why?
So we can have open discussion about the funding of the pool and other issues.
Open discussion is not.
Oh, okay, and well,
I'm sorry.
confidential discussion about the funding of the pool and the outside funding that has been offered.
What I'll do is adjourn the meeting and let you take some advice if you're going to do that, because it needs to be very specific. So can we go offline, please? We're back live. Come on, you included what reasons?
Privacy and commercial reasons.
And it was seconded to that. Councillor Duncan, what was
Yes, fine. I think it was councillor Hero
that?
actually.
Councillor Hero, sorry, my apologies. And I'll accept as chair those conditions. The reason to move into public excluded. Yeah, those in favour? Those against, carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll back online with a motion, and the motion was to stop any further action on the Martin swimming pool. That motion failed. We now move back to the order paper. Using the order paper on section 10.3 Martin Swim Centre. And we're looking for a recommendation that either council proceeds with detailed design, building consent process and tender process, or it requests officers to rescope the works. Councillor Wilson.
Seeking to move the recommendation. Council proceeds with detailed design as per the wording in the order paper.
Thank you. I'm prepared to second that. Do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, I do, Your Worship, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, councillors. You've heard me say before that I think this matter has been well detailed in previous council decisions. I think the order paper here today details the level of discussion and decisions made by council that has led us to this. I agree with the scope, and I think it is an opportunity for us now to actually push on, get some design and some tender documents out there, noting that that will come with risk, like all of these things do. But until we actually take this opportunity on to push on, we can't go any further forward. And every moment of delay, we end up delaying fixing what is a failed asset, and an asset that we need as a council to get open as soon as possible. So I think that the best thing to do is that we proceed to tender as identified, the scope of works identified in section 3.3 of this report for repairs to the Martin swimming pool.
I had one speaker in favour. Any further speakers or questions? Councillor Allen.
I'd like to speak against the motion. I think that there is little understanding of the cost that might be involved. We had some scoping, but it's a very rough guide, and I'm concerned that it's going to put council in a really difficult position regarding costs for this upgrade.
I'll speak in favour. In terms of the costing, we've had estimates of costing all the way through. There are various, and each one of those sections was covered by Create, a firm specialised within this. You're quite correct. Until we have a tender position, we won't know final costing. But as far as we could go at present, I believe that that work is done. Any further speakers?
Just a question, Your Worship, can we go ahead with the tender process if we haven't had the geotech report assessment done?
Absolutely, that would be part of the work schedule.
If I may, Your Worship, yeah, so we won't do any of the design work without geotech. You need the geotech to drive the design work, so that happens first up, and then we build the design on top of that.
Question?
If that geotech report comes back and it's not helpful to our process of fixing the pool, where do we go from there?
Yeah, so thank you, Your Worship. If anything happens between now and going to tender, that means it's either going to overrun on budget or there's some unforeseen risk that's come up, we would have to bring that back to council. If anything changes in your decision right now, we'd have to bring that back for a follow-up decision.
Any further speakers? I'll go back to write a reply.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I think we need to really just have a look and see what the wording is here, because Councillor Loudon's concerns can't be answered until we've made this decision. The key wording is council proceeds with detailed design, building consent process, and tender. We can't get the geotech report until we've done the building consent process to understand what we need to do. So that's first thing. And we can't get a cost until we've gone to a tender process. So we are really just following a logical order of previous council decisions made as detailed in the report. So hence why I support this motion.
Ready to vote? Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Do you want that to be recorded?
Yes, please.
And councillor Sharlin, do you wishing a vote against be recorded as well? Thank you. I now move back to 10.1. Is that correct?
Yes, your worship.
Jenna, I just wish to make some comments ahead of you speaking. So in my mayor's report, I gave recognition to the amount of work and made mention of the finance team and others that have done the work for this. You were the lead on this project. And as such, I apologise that I didn't officially recognise that as part of the work done. And I congratulate you on the amount of work that is required and achieved to make sure that this happens. So thank you very, very much. And now I'll pass to you to take us through this report.
Thank you. This report is to bring to you the annual plan for adoption. So you'll know over the past, so months, there's been a lot of work on this. We've had a number of workshops. We've gone through the process that we've needed to, including consultation, to allow you to now adopt it. We had deliberations earlier this month, and since then we've updated the annual plan and it is ready for adoption. After this, if you do choose to adopt it, we will finalise it for publication and get it distributed over the next few weeks. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions from councillors? Look, there are a few first pieces from me. First of all, I've spent a little bit of time going back and looking at not only the annual plan, but also looking at the rating impacts that come as a separate and subsequent stage. When we first started looking at annual plans, we were in very, very high figures. And then we moved to, I think, 9.9, and then we moved to 9.1. End up with a figure 7.9. Right. That is an exceptional result. And to be able to do the work that we are doing and have done, I think is a testament to Chief Executive and staff and the questions that have been asked around this table. So absolutely, I applaud you guys, including councillors, because it's not an easy process. Any further questions or comment from staff or from councillors' side? Councillor,
Yeah, I just reiterate what you're going to say. I think it's an annual plan we should be very proud of.
Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, it's difficult to sort of applaud even a 7.9, but knowing where we came from, which was well into the double digits to start with, I do applaud that. But I think what we should also recognise here is this has been managed to be done without a decrease in level of service to our ratepayers. And that should be recommended as well, or should be acknowledged. So we have trimmed our cloth where we needed to.
There's a few stages to go with this. First, would somebody like to move the adoption of the report be received? Councillor Okawa, Councillor Lambert, seconding. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. The recommendation 2, that council considers prudent to adopt a budget that is not a balanced budget 25-26 on the basis that it's financially prudent to do so and achieves a sustainable balanced budget in accordance with Section 100 of the Local Government Act 2002. Does anyone want to ask any questions around understanding that? No? Councillor Herald.
I would be happy for someone to just explain that a little bit more.
Yes, certainly. Firstly, in terms of what council does, is it sets out what its expenses are to be on an operational base. And then it sets out a whole lot of CapEx programs, and some of the costs of running council are associated with further CapEx programs, you're employing consultants, you're employing staff, and all sorts of other reasons. And that you want those non-operational, standard operational things funded over time as a generational effect. And to put this in more simple language, you could get a council come out and say, we've struck a rating increase of 0. There are several ways you can do that. You can fire your staff, you can drop levels of service, or you can go further into debt by running vast unbalanced budgets. Or you can stop depreciation funding, all those sorts of things. So I look at this, we had always programmed to have a period of an unbalanced budget with the knowledge that over time we're going to move out of that situation. Does that help at all? Sort of. Councillor Moore, question.
Only a comment. I never consider it prudent to adopt a not balanced budget. But given the reasons you've given, it's in our environment, in the local government environment, it seems prudent to do it. But yeah, it always comes back. It's got to be paid back eventually, and it always accumulates. So yeah, so leave it till the next generation also.
Bear in mind, this is actually very close to a balanced budget, really, in the scope of things, in my mind. Go councillor. Sorry.
The
That's where it gets confusing.
So this is backtracking a bit, but in 3 process on page 61, it quite clearly states there that we actually didn't have any significant or material changes. And I know that I was part of that. I remember that in fact the realisation of that didn't come until quite late in the piece, when developing, when going towards an annual plan. But I would like to say that if that is a real thing, I see that there could be serious money saved by signalling that we didn't have to do an annual plan. And I would just like to encourage to see that as an option rather than an essential. And if that is really truly significant or material changes are not needed for the next year, then it is an opportunity to say we don't need to do an annual plan, and then we could save some money. So I'm happy to have comment. Thank you.
Yeah, just make a comment there. We do have to do an annual plan. It's that we don't have to consult on it. So there's the difference.
Right.
So we still have to do one.
So the consultation itself takes all the money.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Louder.
Just about the, well, I tend to agree with Councillor Moore regarding the word prudent. And I've mentioned it before, but I was concerned that in the 2021-2031 long-term plan, it was a period of unbalanced budgets where council made a loss. But that was forecast in these years coming, that was going to change back into positive territory. But our long-term plan has extended that way out. Is that a concern that this might not be considered as prudent, that we have a long period of unbalanced budgets?
So through the chair, so there's a couple of things packaged in there. One of the things is we had, for instance, used some reserves, and that's how we dropped 0.5% for this final piece, because we've got funding sitting in unused this year where we've rated for it. So we're going to put that into a reserve and use it next year. So it's no different to the rest of us in our private lives, saving money this year to spend next year. So we're doing some of that, but also recognising that we are not while we are depreciating every asset and recording that as depreciated, we are not rating funding for all of our depreciation. And that is reflecting a number of councils that we're doing that because we're recognising that some of our assets may not even be replaced should they go. So I'm not talking about all of our pipes and underground infrastructure, but some of our community assets we may not fund fully ourselves, or we may have the community may say, actually, we're going to help you fundraise for this. So it's a combination of things. So do I feel concerned? I would love to be able to say I could collect lots of money and have it sitting in the bank for other days, but that's just not the way we're moving our way forward. And given our communities really feeling the pinch of the cost of living, I think this is financially prudent, but I accept the language that you may look from a commercial aspect versus how I look at it from a community aspect may differ. Does that answer it?
It would be useful if somebody would like to make a recommendation.
I thought Fee had, Your Worship, sorry.
Chair
I
of
don't think I have,
Finance.
but I'm happy to move.
So councillor Dalgety moving, councillor Wong seconding. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
I think we've discussed it fully.
Any speakers? Put it to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you very much. Recommendation 3 that council adopts.
I was going to go against, sorry.
You're reporting a vote against. Thank you. Recommendation 3 that council adopts the 25-26 annual plan gives the chief executive authority to make minor editorial and formatting changes to the document prior to publication. Also move, looking for second at councillor Lambert. Yep. Put it straight to the vote. This is routine. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. We now move into having adopted. This should be straightforward because this is the options that come as a consequence of 10.1.
Sure.
So 10.2, setting the 25-26 rates for the financial year 01 July. And welcome Warren to the table. I'll make exactly the same comments here. The amount of maths that sit in and calculations and recalculations every time council makes a decision in this space. We think it's a very, very simple decision, but the calculations behind that change are substantial. And I know that you have worked some very long hours to make this happen. Thank you very much, and I congratulate you for it. Would you like us to take us through this, please?
Okay, we're going to step through these charge by charge. Is that the way leadership would like to do this?
And is there any?
I could just quickly say, we're just adding in a recommendation to receive the report. I've just noticed that that's been missing.
This is received.
Receiving.
I was just going to say where, but
Sorry,
that's all right. Would somebody like to hear of finance? Would you like to receive the report?
Yeah.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder to that. Councillor Hero, you prepared to second? Those in favour? Those against? Carried. I think perhaps, is there any things of significance you wish to highlight as part of the report? And then we'll take questions that could go back into any section of it.
Through the chair, if I may, there's one change that is quite different from when we went out and consulted, and it was, I'm just trying to find which page it's on, but it's on the Omatani rural water scheme, because when we went to consultation, we had it at $309 per unit, because we had rated exactly how we had rated it, going, we need this amount of bucket of money, which is about 28,000 off the top of my head, high level. And what we hadn't allowed for is actually, because they have not got a significant capital plan, they don't actually rate and fund depreciation. So when we sent our resolution for a legal check, which is what we always do every year to keep council safe, it got raised. We hadn't specifically consulted on a material movement from $86 to $309. So we wrote to the community, the 13 groups and advised them that we would be keeping it at the same way it had been rated in the long-term plan, which is not rating for the depreciation. And met with the chair. We had our normal rural meeting, but I met with the chair individually, Warren and I, to make sure that was understood. And so you'll see that on whichever page, and I can't find it, it is going to be
69.
Thank you, thank you.
On its timing?
And that way we stay within our $101.26. We stay within we're not breaching any materiality or significance. Does that make sense? Sorry, that sounded a bit.
Question, councillor Duncan.
I'd just like to say thank you very much for the extra work that involved with meeting with the chair. That's excellent and is a level of service really gratifying. Thank you.
It resolves.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. Councillor Dalgety, question.
Just for clarity, with the background that a few years ago, one of these charges slipped through and there was a significant change, and the way this is presented, it's difficult for us to know what the previous charges were, so that went through unnoticed. So for clarity, these targeted rates have been increased CPI, and are they? So how have you risen at these charges, and is there anything that doesn't meet that criteria?
So through the chair, rates are struck according to the cost that the benefit factors of that particular rate incur. It is not charged at CPI. So our average inflation, absolutely, we use that as a form of CPI. We use CPI with the rural version of that, so local government version. But what we do is it's going to cost this amount for the rural water supply, for example. These are the amount of people that are going to pay for it. Therefore, that's what it comes out to. It's purely a mathematical division. When you look at roading, this is how much money we need in that bucket for this year, next year. This is the capital value. That's what it works out to per dollar per capital value. So it's a very much a mathematical equation. It is not simply going, the rates have gone up 7.9%, so we put all of the rates up by 7.9%. That's not how you do rates in the correct world. It is about allocating the cost to the burden of the activity. And so the people who get the benefit of that pay for that. There's a component of public good, and you've got a couple of rates there where there's an annual charge, and that's based on public good. I think they just inflate by CPI because they come out of the whole bucket. Does that make sense, Councillor Dalgety? But our lawyer has checked. There's nothing that jumps out as an extremely unusual increase that hasn't been included in our consultation document. Thank you.
With me changes to UAGC and the fact that we set that at some point.
Yep. So the other thing, just to go back to my very early days here, when we talked about the UAGC versus the general rate, and we had if you recall, we had no understanding of how you pick the UAGC rate. Following that, there was an agreement from council that we inflate the UAGC by the inflation for that year, and that's the average rates increase for the year, so the UAGC has gone up by 7.9%, and that comes out of the bucket of the general rate that we needed to collect.
To keep it proportionally the same.
Yeah.
Councillor
Just my clarification, understanding of the Three Waters costs. So are these figures saying that F, G, H, I, K and L, they in combination form the cost of the Three Waters for our rate base?
The all rates that have water, waste, or drink storm, including our rural at this stage, are the costs of our water. But what we don't know at the moment is what we're doing with rural schemes. But that is your costs.
I think if I understand your question correctly, Councillor, you're thinking that local water done well kicks in within these time periods. So the earliest that local water is well done well whichever way you put it, would be 27/28 in terms of effect.
So
And through,
Other than trying to deal ahead of time with stranded overheads and stuff.
I'm just trying to sort of work out, for example, from the ratepayer's perspective, there's $2,000 plus of their rates associated with free waters. And how that might affect them down the track possibly, so they have an understanding of the dollar value that their rates contribute to that. And the next question was the stranded overheads, the proportion of that.
So I think, councillor, that you're absolutely right. And what I have suggested to council is that the time of the LTP, we may well need to rebalance who pays for what as part of an LTP process. So for instance, if you're not connected to supply and you move into a water entity, then you wouldn't be expected to get a bill from that entity other than a small public good component. So there'll still be some form of public good component, but there will probably need to be a rebalance. And I've always thought that it's logical that there'd probably be rebalances between those water components and roading and those all sorts of other things. But that's the time when it'll be done. I'm getting a couple of nods from finance team, so.
there'll be a lot, there will be a lot of work. You will see the cost of water disappear, or us rating on behalf of a new entity initially. There will be stranded overheads, which we discuss regularly in my world. And you'll see different things as we progress over the next 2 years popping out from that, even how we consider a building. So we're conscious of that. I keep lightly saying I can't remove an arm off the CE, and I can't, there's a whole lot I can't do. I can't slice this building up. However, there's ways of trying to reduce overheads where we can, and also trying to find income to come back in, non-rate income.
Councillor Hero.
Just to clarify in my own brain, when we're talking about specifically around the water and rural, you're referring to rural as the rural water schemes.
No.
You're talking about rural across the board and across the sector. So I understand that we pay, that rural ratepayers pay a public good. But that's where it stops if you're not receiving.
So okay, I'll go back and reclarify. I certainly said this is not about rural water schemes. They tend to be independent, and we will always argue, I think, or we've been given that motion to argue that they should be independent of the regional CCOs as well. But in terms of people that are rural, not connected to supply, and in the future, you will be, those connected to supply down the track will have meters at their gate. You'll be paid charged on a cubic meter basis. But council per se is likely to still put in place some form of public good for water that is used to support parks and reserves and firefighting capacity or whatever. But I suspect that there will be a rebalance of that, and the only time that we can really do that is a long-term plan. But it will be this. It's just one tiny part of the huge amount of work ahead of us. I'm sorry. Councillor Carter.
Clarification, go away from the numbers, we'll go into words. ENSCO. For those who aren't aware, there are two ENSCOs in the Bulls area, one on State Highway 1, one on Ferry Road. Can the one on Ferry Road be called ENSCO Manawatu, as that's what its name is?
Yeah.
And the one up here called Rangiti, rather than ENSCO Bulls?
Yeah. Okay. Whichever, yeah. But I've asked for clarification with that previously in terms of assets.
Yeah. So did I just
ENSCO Manawatu
and ENSCO Rangitikei.
Yeah.
Apologies, I wasn't aware of that.
Before we vote on it and move the individual recommendations, is there anything, Warren, that you want to really highlight to?
I don't think so. I think what Leanne's talked about in terms of UAGC and the way that the rates have actually been struck, and there's not too much else to call out, I don't believe. The only thing I might say, and it's not part of this report, it's part of actually the annual plan document, the full document. Of course, there are the comparisons of the current state rates, the next year's proposed rates, and when you look across it, there's a level of satisfaction that there isn't one sector that's more heavily penalised than another. So I think they've actually come out really quite even across the entire district and the different types of rating. Unfortunately, not part of this report, but part of that independent document. That's probably the only thing I'd say.
Right, I think we're in a position where we can put some recommendations on the table. Would somebody like to move recommendation 1, which will probably be now recommendation 2, that Rangitikei District Council resolves under the Local Government Rating Act 2002 sets the rates listed in bullet point 2.2a and 2.1 above for the period of 1st of July 25-26 as detailed. Councillor Dalgety, are you wishing to move? Looking for a seconder to that. Councillor Loudon, take you as seconder. Do you wish to speak to it? Any speakers to it? I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Recommendation 3, that the council resolves that the rates listed in bullet point 2 be due in 4 equal instalments. You wishing to so move?
Happy to move as listed.
Looking for a seconder. Councillor Duncan seconding. Any first speakers to it? Put it to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Next one, that the council resolves to apply the penalties on these unpaid rates as set out in bullet point 4, etc. Councillor Dalgety moving. Looking for a seconder to it. Councillor Loudon seconding. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Recommendation 5. This is about setting the water rates listed in bullet point 5.5, 5A, 5G above. So these are the water rates. You wishing to move, Councillor Moore? Looking for a seconder, Councillor Carter. You wish to speak to it? But those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Recommendation 6. Yeah. The council resolves that the due dates are set out as listed. Would somebody like to so move? This follows on from the previous motion. Councillor Moore, Councillor Lambert, put it to vote. Those in favour, those against, carried. Thank you very much. Recommendation 7. That Rangitikei District Council resolves to apply penalties on unpaid metered or extraordinary rates for water for Hunterville Urban Water Supply, Martin Water Supply, Ratna Water Supply, etc., etc., being the water meter site listed in bullet point 5, etc., etc. And I take it that we will have studied this at length. Are you wishing to move?
As long as the EMSCO has changed, yes.
Yes.
It's a minority.
Thank you. Looking for a second to this. Councillor Charlene seconding him. Please stop me if you think I'm going too quickly. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Recommendation 8. That Rangitikei District Council resolves to apply the penalties on unpaid Hunterville rural and rural urban water supply as set out in 7.2. Somebody like to so move? Councillor Moore, Councillor Dalgety, put it to vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Can we scroll down, folks? Okay. Cool. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
In reality, if we hadn't passed vote as is, you're back into recalculation.
Now we do.
It's 3 o'clock now. In terms We'll stop there. We'll take a 10-minute break. Councillor. I'm moving to item 11, the reports for information. And thank you.
Update on the report, projects, I think, this is always we'll step through them. I just want to mention that under the wastewater projects, all of these, we are waiting for those, national wastewater standards to be finalized. So there's not a lot of movement on them specifically because we are waiting for those standards to be finalized. Also, I'd like to mention under the Martin to Bulls, I take on board what Councillor Carter so clearly described earlier, that we need to get the ANZCO rules correct, and we will in the next report we will describe that correctly.
Yeah, and just a little warning from the team here at this end of the table. Sometimes the names have to be the names because of the contracts that they've entered into with council. So I think staff are going to have to just do a little bit of checking around that, because this keeps coming up, and I wonder if that's, or staff wonder if that's that part of the issue. So in terms of taking any questions.
Your Worship, can I just make one mention under the wastewater? So the first four, as project number 4 is new, has not been there before. It's an item that's come up in other discussions, and we thought it's worthwhile adding it in until it's finalized. We've done some upgrades at the Taipi plant. There was an old membrane plant that came to the end of its life. There is modern day membranes been installed that can run at a much higher rate. What happens in these things is we fix one thing and then 3 other things show up as being old and undersized. So we kind of go stepping through the process to get it all fixed up. And we thought we would add that in so that would allow councillors to keep an eye on it and not be surprised by questions.
Go back to was, is there anything under 2.1? This is Martin to Bulls. No. 3, Ratana.
Yeah, I've just got one question, having been through a similar 3.2, you had a pre-meeting hearing with 3 submitters. And so we go to a full hearing as a result of the pre-hearing. Was the pre-hearing part of that full hearing process?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So what happens at the pre-hearing, it's an opportunity, so we're there with the Commissioner, and it's an opportunity for us to resolve the problem, which means we then don't have to go to a full hearing. But we couldn't resolve it. They were adamant on what they wanted, so we'll have to go to a full hearing.
Sorry,
Councillor
just further to that. So my concern around the process is that I could be living in Gore and still submit to this and be against Ratana wastewater discharge.
Yep.
What is the process to, show our opposition to how it stands, that's an option?
That's part of the RMA reform.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we just make that sure that we do submit on something along those lines?
Correct. As I understand, it's a specific line item within the RMA reform question exactly that. You make a comment?
Yeah, I can clarify. So that's intended to come with the next round of reforms under the RMA and not the ones that are currently out.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Moore.
Yeah, I'm Ratana. I'm just trying to, in my own head now, work out what this project is for. Is it to improve the water flowing into Lake Waipu? Or is it to re-establish Lake Waipu as a freshwater lake?
You go.
Yes, so we had a discharge that flowed into Lake Waipu.
Yeah. And
the emphasis on this was a disposal to land instead of that. And as part of that, we had purchased land to make it available. Then there's some elements that are being contested around storage, etc., and how that would be done. But also sitting on the table now is the possibility to pump through to Kaitoki and potentially pick up Turakina.
Yeah, we're all at. It's just what the Lake Waipu part of it.
Yeah.
What's the
I can answer, Your Worship. So the primary driver originally was to improve the water quality in Lake Waipun. And that would have been, this would have been one of the pieces of work, would have been this one. For us though, Ratana, that consent expired anyway, and we would have had to apply for a new consent. And under the one plan, it would have been disposal to land anyway. So it's a bit of both.
The Lake Waipoe restoration project is a different project.
No, that is that one. So the original primary driver was to improve water quality in Lake Waipun.
That's a hero.
So just to come back to the kōrero around the submitters for the Ratana consent. It doesn't say in there that I understand that those 3 submitters were not from. Yeah, I'm just going back to the Ratana community meeting that I attended, and that was, but it does not say it in here. Can I still talk to this, kōrero?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is that the discussion that was had when it was made known that the submitters, none of those submitters were actually from that community.
One is.
Oh, one, only
Yep.
one?
Yep.
Or of the 3, 2 of them aren't.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, the next day, personally myself, I'd gotten was asked to submit to the Whanganui District Council to something that they're working on. So I got all of the discussion around why they're looking and just to say that this was done outright from an iwi point of view. Okay, so and it was quite funny because just the night before we were talking about this very thing, and so what they said was, so I went through the process with the Whanganui District Council as to what they were doing, and so one of the things that they had in there as to who you were was, do you whakapapa to Whanganui? So and then like I say, there was an opportunity what this organisation were looking at doing with council, that put it out, and I thought there was because even though I don't live in Whanganui, I've got whakapapa links to it, and I also, when going through what they were trying to achieve, there were 2 parts to it. Both of them will, in my head, would directly affect me, even though I'm not the ratepayer.
Councillor Dalgety.
So, further to that, do we know if the other 2 submitters do whakapapa to Ratana?
We don't know specifically, but I would imagine not.
It is disappointing to me that sometimes, and I can think of a particular occasion where a councillor from another council decided to submit against an issue that we had in treatment of wastewater in Hunterville. And the reason was that they'd rather have the discussion against a smaller council and not their own. That was one of principle. It wasn't anything to do with that community, but it effectively added substantial to our council. This is another of those situations.
Yeah.
And I think totally support the RMA. Yeah. Talks about everything that does. Number 4.
Could I just check with number 4, if I may? You've indicated that it's a current project, but you're bringing it back here for a bit of a watching brief to highlight it for us. Budget's here, numbers. We got it, is it currently sitting on in our budget lines for ongoing work?
Yes. Yep. Through you, Mr. Chair. The original budget was in the order of about $2 million. We came up with a solution at about $680,000. So a lot less than the original estimates. And we just kind of now in the operational part of that to make it all good.
Question, has the communication team been notified to obviously install anything along those lines?
Not specifically on this one, no. So that's something we can follow up on.
Do we need to? Is it the public key, isn't it in their face or?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, just.
Sorry, councillor Duncan.
Just, there is a Taibi wastewater treatment plant committee. One of the members did say to me that there had been a meeting a wee while ago. I have been on that committee for 4 or 5 years now. I wasn't notified of that last meeting, and if you want a community awareness campaign, can I just suggest that the Northern Ward councillors are included in that?
Yep, definitely. I'm just wondering, it is on the treatment plant, there's no public, it's out of the public view. How far do we go with it?
Well, absolutely, but if there is a community awareness campaign, I would like the Northern Ward councillors to be included, please.
Yeah, but we're not planning on one, but if there is, we're willing to. That's, sorry, that item there is on work we're going to do in town.
Say that again, sorry.
Yeah, so the item that mentions there is work we're going to do in town. So we want to give
Right.
residents a heads up that when we knock on their door, they know what it's about.
Right, sorry,
Yeah.
I got that wrong.
But we will definitely
Once again,
include all of the Northern Ward councils and other councils if you have interest.
thank you.
Cool.
Right, getting ourselves based.
Yeah.
What a strategy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think just want to make mention of is 5.2 is so we've signed the non-disclosure agreements. Now the next one to get signed off is the contract. It's well described there. Our project manager is with GFS today and tomorrow. And I would imagine it will be signed off unless something has come up. What they really are busy with is they've given us a lump sum price for all of it. We've broken it up into separable portions. So we're saying we're going to do this first and then that and that and that. So the bits of the money that was as a general across all of it, they need to chop that up into those different separable portions in a way that makes sense to them and how they want to run it. And that's what they're working on. So that and the principles requirements is what they're working on.
So you're expecting that to be signed this week?
Today and tomorrow. So he's up in Auckland today.
Yeah, and that project's back on track
Yes,
with review, revised completion dates.
it is back on track. We will come back to you with a revised timetable that is more realistic. So it's very soon. Yes, that's a good idea. If I may, Your Worship, the container that we talk about, so the moving of the trial plant up to the dams, that it's on its way. It's probably already in Martin, and they'll set it up, and by the end of next week, it'll be up and running. It will attract quite a bit of public attention, I'm sure.
Thank you. Moving on. Councillors, thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 5. I would like to pass it on to Ishwar.
Martin officer, we've done with the soil contamination, the geotech surveys. We did find 3 tanks. One still had diesel in it, and the other 2 still had, I think it's engine oil and water mixed into it. But one good thing is because if it's still contained in the tank, then this possibility of a leak into the soil is minimal. So that's what we are hoping for.
Will that bring the council fuel bill down?
Becky, you too.
I take ownership because one of them's under my car.
Mixed with water though. There you go.
I'll put a water in it.
Sell it cheaper.
So there's 2 other locations where we know there were tanks before, but we're not sure whether they are in there or it's gone. So they've taken samples from those 2 locations. So the test results should be out sometime next week. With that, once the result is out, then the EOC design work should get on with that. And for the offices, we've already signed the contract. Now we're trying to arrange a kickoff meeting, trying to get the quality plan and all of those documents in order. And now that Jared has done an exercise, get the staff numbers and all that, I think that's the next conversation before we pass it on to the architects to start designing it.
6, 5 Brandstead.
We're still waiting for the community to come back on this one, so Just a little.
Is, Your Worship, if I may ask a question of councillors, do we leave this on? We're just repeating the same words every time we report. Do we leave it on or do we bring it back once there's movement from that group?
That's the topic.
Bring it back once it's moved.
Yeah, I'll second that.
That's
Yeah.
the general direction.
I actually disagree with that. I like it being there, so it's front of mind, doesn't get forgotten, and we've got work to do there.
At the moment, it's not us. We're waiting for them to do stuff. We're
I
not
appreciate
driving.
that, but I just think that it's easy for it to get swept under the carpet.
Councillor Herald, going first.
So I see in 7.7 that there is, staff are working on an alternative date, given that was close to 6 weeks ago. I'm just thinking of the 7th of May, so I feel like I was in one of the, apologies for that, Hui. Do we know when we might have the meeting? Any idea?
We need, so do we set a time frame by when the community is?
Yeah, look, I'd suggest you try and do that. I really want to be guided by the Northern Water councillors here, and I'm not getting a clear picture.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that I have been speaking with our CE about this, and staff are supporting a further move with looking at options to get the report done. And I have got some tools. Thank you, staff, for providing me with some tools to go back to this group and trying to, get some movement. I've just been made aware that there has been a change in the structure from staff. So I would actually, can I ask who is now the lead staff person on this one?
Ishwar has always been the lead. Kevin was just assisting to try and keep it moving with the wider groups that were in Taihepe, but Ishwar has always been the project lead and remains as such. And I think what you're referring to is the information we've sent you about fundraising opportunities. Yes. So Galen's provided that and said that Carissa can, give advice on some of those applications if it's needed.
Thank you.
Simon.
Has council got a time frame for the strengthening to be done, or is it just going to sort of go on?
No, we haven't given a time frame, but what we've said is the money is money in terms of definitive position and what it should be used for. So then it is up to literally the community to say, we can step in and this is what we're going to do and here's the planning. But I think probably in terms of keeping this moving, I think I'd leave it sitting on the table at the moment, and I'll try and progress the meeting in date. If that doesn't work, then we just have to park it until there's sufficient interest until.
Or we did when we market or we can see work.
No, we don't get on with the seismic work at all. But we try and arrange a meeting with the community.
If that's taking time and if they're not ready to move on. So that was a question. Yeah, how long are we willing to wait? Because the more we wait, we're just spending money on it.
Yeah, look, I think what we do is we try and set up those meetings, and if they don't have a meeting, we take it off the table.
Thank you.
I was just concerned about the cost increasing to actually do the strengthening work, and we've only set a budget of 700. And so it's going to be a difference if it gets delayed too long.
And we've raised exactly that issue with the community and the council decisions around it. Next one, please.
We've presented a preliminary design proposal, and we've also presented an alternate proposal where there's some enhancements done, of course, at an additional cost. And we've also had this meeting with the user group, and we've taken feedback, which I've also attached. The whole conversation is there. If there's any questions around the layout or anything I can answer.
All right. Sorry, Commissioner, just as a quick reminder, we have another paper coming to council today on the same topic that's in a lot more.
Yes, but that's only on the funding, only on the costing.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to, so if we discuss the plans now, then when we look at that report, then we could just look at taking that enhancements. Or I'm happy to run through the designs then as well.
Yeah, so, I think rather, can we run through the designs then at that stage rather than dealing with it twice?
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
That's a delegate.
I'm just interested. I suspect she's not part of your user group, but Wendy Rebel is a producer of high repute, and she's left the district but comes back in the past to oversee their productions, and so she's used redeveloped facilities in Hawke's Bay. Has anyone actually had a chat with her particularly? Her name is Wendy Rebel, and she's the producer. And I just think that I would lend some user expertise to the conversation.
Look, I'll change my opinion as chair. I'd rather deal with it now. The reason being that the latter paper is in public excluded.
That's right.
And as in terms of transparency and public interest, I think we do deal with design now. As I understand it, one of the principal questions that was raised was around the height of the stage.
That's right.
And have you got resolution on that?
Not so not exactly. So we are proposing 900, and the only contention is they've asked for 1200. So we've kind of said the difference between 900 or 1200. There's a whole lot of safety regulations that kick in. Anything beyond 900, then you need safety barricades that needs to come in. Yes, we can go and apply for a waiver because it's a stage. But what happens is when the stage is not used, the railings need to be put back and all that come in. And at 1200, anything beyond a meter, then your hydraulic lifts need to be installed. So those are requirement. I did check what we had done in the Bulls Temata Pihi Hall. So we've done 1150, but I believe our building team didn't sign it off because of that requirement. There was a requirement for the stage lift to be put in a platform lift, but it was signed off by the CE.
Yeah, and council always has the right to go through a process in terms of the building acts to intercede. Councillor Duncan.
Thank you. Yes, can I just say that I have been in touch with Wendy Rebel, and she is an expert in this field. And I think it would be, I'm very pleased that Councillor Dalgetty has brought this up, because the consultation that I can see in the document is that it is the lighting and sound man who has been consulted on the height of the stage, and I'm wondering if you are asking the right experts for their opinions in this case. I would really like to see someone like Wendy with that sort of understanding involved, because the whole reason for the height of the stage is for the impact of the stage on the audience. And when you've got there's very simple, and I do understand this because I have a background in this, very simple calculations that's about visuals to the stage from the back of the auditorium. That's the basic one. And so I am concerned about this, but I'm also would like to say this has been fantastic, and Eshwa has been working with the community. And I think that there are things to work through, but the steps are being done. So thank you, staff, for all your work.
Where are you suggesting we go to from here?
That those further questions need to be asked of the right people around the stage height.
Make a comment for me, just to clear that up. So the decision of the stage being at 900 is driven by building requirements, not by the
It's in the
advice.
document. It says here that a certain person has been asked and have said that that's fine, and that person is not qualified.
So in his personal view, it's fine, but the height is limited by the building requirements. If we go higher, we have to tick all the other boxes.
Yes.
That's why it's at 900, not because of this means.
Unless council, the chief executive or council waiver.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you just said. Unless council,
So you can have a requirement, once you're over 900, to have a barricade of essentially stopping people from going through something.
Yeah.
But the council, there are two processes where building acts can be waived, one of which is by the chief executive, or the chief executive taking a recommendation to council for a council decision. So in terms of waiving elements of the building act, some things council would never waive in terms of health and safety of fire egress. But in terms of the height of a stage, most stages that are over 900 will have a waiver. That's the way it works. There are two elements to height for those that online. First of all, if you go over 900 and you're sitting right at the front, you have a difficulty looking at the back of the stage. But if you're at the back of the hall, the height of 1200 is an advantage because you get a bit of sight line over the top of people, if you like, the angle effect. And I'm certainly not the expert and I've never claimed to be, but I just want a decision. Councillor Wokal.
Oh, so the stage is not only useful, I agree with councillor Dalgety and councillor Duncan to have a corridor with the subject matter experts and productions and that sort of stuff. But you're also using the stage as like a stadium sort of thing, aren't you, to watch badminton? So this goes the other way. They're up higher, sitting up there, watching on the floor.
So what we are saying is because it's a multi-purpose hall, that 900 stage height kind of works for other purposes as well. If we put in, because we're talking about putting a badminton court inside, so when the game is on, and so this 900 also provides an advantage, provides a seating level, but at 1200 it becomes a lot more difficult to climb and sit. So it's got its own set of advantages as well. So that's what we were trying to say. We were just building on top of the safety issues.
I can never remember at the time heavy hall, the stage being used for seating ever.
Not exactly the stage, because there's a step that's climbing on both sides. So that would just be used as a seating. Just at the front, if some other activity is happening, it just acts as an added seating space.
Question? So this is the proscenium you're talking about?
Yes.
And so that doesn't necessarily have to be at the height of the stage?
I'm not talking about the proscenium, so the step, so we had provided steps to go to the stage on both sides. That level could just be used as a seating. I mean, it's just added thing, it's not the main function of it.
right. My question is around the lift. So it's been, so I take on board what councillor Duncan has said about people being experts in things. So and who has been mentioned in here, which is Steve Cross, as being one of the people that you've been consulting with. What I'd like to know is that around that, I could never understand why would you need a lift, because I've been part of those productions as well. And what's been put in there is said that it's taking into consideration people in wheelchairs.
That's right.
Yeah, and so does that mean that so anything from now you've got to have access, because you never had access in the past. So now we have to have the ability for people in wheelchairs to be able to access into that.
That's right. So at 1200 it becomes mandatory. At 900 it becomes an option. So we could still do it.
Question. So it does say in the plans that you are intending on putting on in a lift.
So that is as an alternate proposal that's done. So there's an enhancement option. It's part of the enhancement option because there's a price tag next to it.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Councillors, can I suggest we have a group that engages and have that run that process and make a decision? Very difficult for us to give you absolute direction at the table.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, just looking to remind that we have a budget approved.
Yeah.
So any more money, we have budget approved.
No one's asking for any.
This is, yeah.
Can I reply to that?
Bear in mind, there's a second paper in terms of finances later, so. I'm just seeking direction from council and staff as to where we take this next.
I think you're right, Your Worship. It's probably not the environment to try and make the decision now. I suggest that while I'm away, that potentially there's further conversation. If you have got another expert, I'm sure Ishwa would be happy to link them in with the with Maycroft, and let's see where we get to from there. But I suggest that we try and get a small group to decide rather than everyone around this table.
Thank you.
I'm just well aware with Te Matapihi, we had experts say that we should end up with have a rake stage. And then when it was built with a rake, which means that the angles, everybody said, why in heck did you do that? Who did you talk to?
And the worst part was people were abusing it and said, you had it in the old stage. No, we didn't. Well, they did. They weren't aware of it.
Right, I think we have dealt with this one, Senator.
Your Worship, there's one thing I just need to add under the Martin Pool is just as a reminder for all councillors, when we submit building consents on our own work, we don't process those ourselves. We send them to an independent third party to process those. So that's just something that didn't come up earlier, but important to know.
Thank you. Scott Ferry.
In Scott's Ferry, we are close to finalising the MOU. We have sent it out for third-party independent review, just to make sure that we didn't miss something that's an obvious risk to any of the parties involved. Lots of parties involved, us, Horizons, the farmer, the group, lots of parties. So, quickly to check.
I'd like to put a motion on the floor that the mayor shouts when this gets over the line, please.
Sorry, that's the mayor what?
That the mayor might shout us a drink when this gets over the line. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking the 2005 version, 2004 version, 2000?
Okay, no, I'll take that back. Sorry, motion withdrawn.
Like I'm super frustrated. Sorry. Anything else on Scott Ferry?
Yeah, Your Worship, just because I've lived there for a number of years and I've got a health and safety background, if I can be any assistance to get us through, I'd be happy to assist.
Yeah, that's pretty much done and dusted, I'll be honest. So thanks for the offer.
I'm looking forward to the shit.
Right. Thank you very much. Now, would somebody like to move that the report be received? This project updates, Councillor Sharla and Councillor Rakawa, those in favour? Those against? Carried. The minutes from committees, I think somebody wanted to separate them out rather than a block.
Happy to move as block, Your Worship, because the one that I was looking at is not included.
So you're looking to move. Councillor Rakawa, are you having second?
Yes.
Any discussion? We're just receiving them? Yeah. Thank you. Put it to vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried.
Discussion. I want a discussion.
Oh, sorry. Right. Go for it.
It was in regards to the Bulls Community Committee meeting held in March, and it was just to say that Bruce Deere has resigned and he was a long-term member, so I just wanted to acknowledge his resignation and the part that he's played in the group for a very long time. Kia ora.
Yeah, thank you. We can just take that as an action if council to note that. Yeah. Okay. Would somebody like to move that we move into public excluded for the reasons given Councillor Sharla and Councillor Wong? To vote those in favour? Those against? Carried. I thank you for those people online and we move in public.